Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this Heroes of the Storm VOD. I am Hoss, and before we get into the game itself, I've got a quick message. I'll be giving away a Heroes of the Storm beta key alongside every single video that I upload to my YouTube channel over the next 10 days. That's right, every VOD is a chance for you to gain access to Heroes of the Storm. All you have to do is comment on the video and make sure you are subscribed to my YouTube channel. The comment can be feedback, it can be that you enjoyed the game, something that you picked up on throughout the game, or something you just enjoy about Heroes in general. For example, just comment on this video and you are entered for this video alone. That's it, it's as simple as that. All that's left to say now is enjoy the match and good luck with winning a key.
You know who I feel like was the linchpin there? Not necessarily the Stitches, but definitely the Tyrande.
Yeah.
Because even if they don't let them get the Stitches, there's a Diablo, there's other follow-up heroes that they can get with that. And, I mean, you can't take away both the Diablo and the Stitches unless you really want to run some like double warrior composition that we don't really see that often. And I feel like that will be bottlenecking you to put yourself in a bad situation to begin with. But we're going to see the bans, and I won't be surprised if we see LunatiK try to take away the Tyrande, not maybe necessarily by banning her, but maybe we're picking her up in the first two picks that they get here in the draft.
Yeah, well, it's actually not unheard of to see a Tyrande ban, just because of how powerful she is. We saw it last game, just with Stitches alone, but also the fact that she's actually really versatile in the way she can build. Like, that was based around stun. You can also go for the DPS build, where you take the attack speed level 16. You can go for the owl build, which we used to see quite a bit. Or you can actually go for the utility heal style Tyrande, which we don't see at all now. But even so, it's not unheard of for LunatiK, for a team to ban Tyrande out. But would EG first pick it? That would be the question here. With Hammer Ban, you've got to say no, and it kind of forces, like, the Hammer Ban forces LunatiK into an Illidan ban. Like, they have to, or EG get the strongest melee assassin in the game right now.
Yeah, I feel like Evil Geniuses, that they'll play that style that they just won with Game 1, but that's not their only style. They're a versatile team. They're willing to run other sort of compositions. The one they feel most safe in is generally with Sergeant Hammer, but at the same time, they don't want to deal with the Hammer knowing they don't have first pick. So I think we'll more than likely see, we'll more than likely see either Avala or Illidan coming out here. Those are generally pretty much the first go-to pickups. And with Evil Geniuses, I would say I'm definitely leaning more towards Avala first pick here, unless it gets banned out. LunatiK is surely taking their time with this ban, though, Haas.
Yeah, and it's a question of what do they feel they need to ban? Do they feel the Stitches was too strong? Do they need to ban the Illidan? In fact, they're going to ban the Rhaegar instead. Which kind of makes Illidan a lot weaker in a sense, but it's Illidan. He is still Illidan. He can still look flashy, deal a ton of damage, and 1v3 because he's Illidan. And then you've got to assume there'd be Tassadar there for support, provided LunatiK don't take it away. But even so, Illidan gets picked up here. What are LunatiK going to do? Pick Tassadar Tyrande? No, EG are going to get Tyrande.
So Evil Geniuses taking their time. Do they want the Vala? Do they want the Illidan? They don't know. Are they going to pick an Uther? Oh, wow. Okay, I was just about to say, Uther is also another option here.
Yeah.
Because then that also makes LunatiK a little hesitant to pick up Illidan as well, as Tassadar Illidan obviously is a very strong duo, but generally it needs to be backed up by some sort of single target burst healer, and the big ones are Rhaegar and Uther. So maybe that's the play style that, or the thinking that Evil Genius has had by getting this Uther, is going, you know what, we know what you want us to do. You want us to pick an Illidan. We're not going to do it. We're going to take the Uther away. Go ahead, pick Illidan, and see what happens.
So, this leaves LunatiK with actually quite a few options on the board. They can go Illidan themselves with Tassadar. They can go for Vala. They can go for Stitches, Diablo, etc. Any combination of those. They can go for Tassadar themselves. They've literally got a clean slate. They can even go Tyrande here just to try and stop a combo that EG could pull off, because if there's a team comp of Stitches, Tyrande, Uther, that's a lot of stuns. That is a ton
and the map,
of stuns.
Ladies and gentlemen, is Garden of Terror. So there's a lot of importance in zone control, because if you're able to control the area surrounding the Garden Terrors, then that puts you in prime position to push in lanes and get yourself some experience. And there's the Illidan pickup.
Yep.
And I think with that Illidan pickup, we're probably going to see a Tassadar follow-up here, Haas.
Yeah. there is no other support that would be able to assist Illidan here. Malfurion is healing over time. You really need burst healing with Illidan.
Yep.
It's a lot more reliable. That's why you see Uther with Anrhaegar. A tank? No. It has to be Tassadar. There's no real other option here. Unless you go for maybe a Tyrande. There it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're going with the Tyrande instead. I feel like LunatiK eSports, while they have two strong heroes right now, that the synergy simply isn't there. Now we're going to see a Tassadar Vala. Yep, called it. Because I know Evil Geniuses love themselves a Tassadar and the Vala and the Uther. So Evil Geniuses is already off to a phenomenal start in the draft. I feel like LunatiK eSports is being definitely... Their draft is in response to the last match, and I feel like they're compromising the core of their strategy in doing so. And if that is the case, then that really puts teams on the back foot just from the get-go if they're playing a draft or a composition that they're not familiar with.
And it's a problem that you see teams have all the time. They tunnel too hard on, right, we had trouble with this last game, we need to stop this in this game. But have they played Tyrande Illidan? That would be the question. They have Stitches on their side now, so Tyrande has some synergy in there. Tyrande arguably has a burst heal that could go on to Illidan. It's very minimal, but it's still there.
Right.
But it wouldn't be enough support by herself. So they really need either a second support here, or like a main support, or some more damage. And at this stage, Nazeebo could be an okay pick, if they want that for damage.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. That Nazeebo would be great, and a follow-up from Nazeebo would be a Malfurion as well. With the slight burst heal from Tyrande. She does have the option of going with Protective Shield at level 4. That might help. We do see every now and then a Tyrande pick up.
Double tank comp.
Okay, so they're going with the double tank, and I have a feeling that's just like we have an Illidan, we need to protect that Illidan. Let's go ahead and get ourselves ETC and Stitches. ETC and Illidan obviously have great synergy. Illidan is very reliant on getting his auto attacks off due to his combat trait. ETC increases his attack speed. So the synergy going on between those two heroes is great and provides a lot for team fights and allows Illidan to get off as many rotations of his abilities as he possibly can.
The problem I have with Illidan and two tanks is that essentially Illidan kind of acts like a tank in his own special way. He draws focus, he doesn't die quickly, and he is very slippery. And that's exactly what a tank does. A tank draws focus, a tank soaks up damage. That's exactly what Illidan does. So essentially you have 3 tanks, but one of them is going to be smashing you.
Yeah.
So they really could have added a little bit more damage in here. Obviously they picked up the Stitches because it goes with the Tyrande. Expect to see damage Stitches if that's the case. And full tank ETC.
Ooh. Ah, there it is. I was going to say, what is Evil Genius's response to the heavy melee lineup composition of LunatiK? And that is going to be the Jaina, and they pick themselves up a Muradin. And the only, I mean, a cleanse would be great here for the Muradin, but picking up a Brightwing, I don't know how Brightwing would work in this composition. I feel like Malfurion is the go-to. It gives you that big AoE healing. Obviously, the sustain is a really big deal anytime you're running this sort of composition. LunatiK's lineup is not for burst. It's not for just knocking people out with a big 1-2. It's about taking it to round 16, taking a whole bunch of blows, wearing out your enemy, and then KOing them out in round 16 right there. And if that's the case, I feel like Malfurion would be a great pickup here. And no, it is going to be the Brightwing. This is very, very interesting to me. They put more priority on the cleanse than the great sustained, reliable healing of a Malfurion. I'm not sure how I feel about this Brightwing pickup here, Haas.
In all honesty, nor am I. They've literally just taken 3 picks from EG's last game and thought, that worked, let's do it ourselves. Tyrande, Stitches, Brightwing. Yes, Brightwing has cleanse for the Muradin stuns, the Jaina slows, the Rain of Vengeance, the Divine Hurricane, Divine Storm. Yes, Brightwing provides you healing over time, which is going to be great against the Valor and Tassadar. Yes, you have Tyrande there as a second support, but Malfurion more or less does everything that Brightwing does, just a little bit better, except for the cleanse. And are you really going to need a cleanse on one of your tanks? Them getting CC'd isn't going to be great, and 9 times out of 10 you're going to be out of range of an Illidan because he is going to be going so deep while you're a squishy fairy dragon sitting at the back.
Right. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. And are we going to see an Emerald Wind is what I want to know. I think that's very doubtful. I think we're going to see the high mobility
has to be.
Blink Heal. It has to be. Though I will say a synergy that's going on with LunatiK that needs to be touched on is definitely the global presence if ETC goes stage dive. And I feel like stage dive with an Illidan is definitely the one to go to. It absolutely has to be. Because in a Rain of Vengeance, you have a Blizzard landing on top of you. You have a Psionic Storm. Keeping yourself in an isolated position for that long of amount of time is going to spell disaster.
Divine Hurricane, so I feel like 20, you have Meridian Hammer, you have so much that can just interrupt you and like put you up, catch you off guard.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are getting into this match between LunatiK and Evil Geniuses. LunatiK is trying to keep themselves alive for Kings of the Storm Invitational number 6, not number 11, because Roman numerals are hard for me. A V is not an X, it's number 6. I was going to say, I heard number 11. I'm like, we haven't been doing this for 11 months. That's crazy.
No.
So it's number 6. Nonetheless, LunatiK really has to pull something out of their pocket, and they got to do it in a very convincing manner, because even if they are able to take one game off of Evil Geniuses, they have to do it again. And with this new Evil Geniuses team lineup, man, they're looking great. They're looking strong. And we're going to see how both of these teams perform in Game 2 between these. I'm trying to think of a great adjective to describe them, but it kind of fell on its head. So let's introduce these teams here, Haas. Over on the right side of your map is going to be, whoa, camera, is going to be Faye playing the Tassadar, Sheth on the Uther, Idra playing the Jaina ZP on the Wendy. Wonderful. Diabetes.
Mint-flavored.
Mint-flavored nonetheless. And down in your bottom lane is going to be Cothan Luck playing the Vala Demon Hunter.
And on the other side, just as the gates fall down, we're going to have Hospital on. I think most Hero League players will rejoice with me on this one. The most annoying hero in the game right now on Illidan.
Yes.
Stitches being played by Skylol, Daihu on the ETC in the bot lane, Ivy Slime, Tyrande, and Protege getting bursted down on this Brightwing. And it looks like he may be the first blood. ETC, though, coming in to save him, as ZP's going to be jumping away from that one.
Skylol throws a blinder, doesn't pick anything up. So he's going to have to put the worm back on that hook and try to fish some more a little bit later. A lot of pings going down right here from Evil Geniuses. Maybe they thought someone was right there in the bushes. This roaming composition, I didn't think about it, but now that I see actually happening, a Meridian Jaina, that's a strong composition. A big Storm Bolt followed up by a Cone of Cold and a Blizzard Ice Bolt, and that is a dead nerd. And an Envenom at 4 as well. That's a very, very strong roaming composition. And here we are, seeing it play. Protege is going to get initiated on. He did Pixie Dust himself up. Unfortunately, the magic damage simply not enough, with the supplemental heals from Tyron keeping her alive.
Yeah, this is kind of the new age Arthas Kerrigan that we're seeing here.
Yeah.
Essentially, you've got... Because Muradin Kerrigan came into its own during that period of time, yes, you lost the Envenom, but you had an amazing stun in there instead of a snare. So combine that with Jaina now, who has Envenom at 4, you have so much burst damage, you have some CC in there as well. It's going to work great, especially when you have these early fights. The hook is good onto Sheth, though.
A great blinder coming out from Skylol, channeling his inner CP, and the Lunar Flare, unfortunately, off of the mark. There's the phase shift coming in for Bribing. Protege, unfortunately, gets stunned by the Garden Tear. So the 6th member of Evil Geniuses showing his strength right there, ladies and gentlemen. A 1-for-1 right here at the minute and 45-second mark. This is our first nighttime, and that was a great time for LunatiK to get themselves a kill, because this is going to give them a small but good window of opportunity to pick up some seeds here.
So something that may have gone unnoticed there was that as the hook came in fact I'll hold this thought, as EG are going to chase LunatiK away from the Shamblers. Daihu going to draw some attention, actually gets stunned up. Double stun coming in from the Uther as well. He's still looking for his exit. The Lunar Flare good onto Uther, and he will get out of there. So something I wanted to note, as the hook came in, Protege on the Brightwing arcane flared the little bush to the right, which actually demounted 2 EG members, meaning the follow-up was so much slower, and it allowed LunatiK to have a lot more time to burst down Sheth, and it's little things like that that I really like seeing in games.
That's one thing to think for you new players, is demounting heroes is something you really got to take into consideration, because it decreases the mobility, and it's a really important factor a lot of people don't think about. There's that rotation that we were talking about there, and Proteges goes down by the time he can do anything. The hook on Idra, and Jane is definitely a hero they're looking for. There's Lunar Flare, but a protective shield coming out, and is going to keep him alive from the Uther. Looking at the level 4 talents, Vala went Puncturing Arrow. Do you think that was intentional, or was this potentially a misclick?
Puncturing Arrow is actually seen quite... Okay, so, no. I see what's going on here. Okay, this build was explained to me over the week. Well, I say weekend. It feels like it was a weekend, but it was only Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So, against an Illidan on Valor, you take multi-shot level 1 because you're going for the range element here. The more distance you can put between you and Illidan, the better. Puncturing arrow at range. And something that we might actually see later on is a double vault.
Especially if it resets that punctured arrow. Ivy Slime is in a lot of trouble. The defensive Lunar Flare is there. He's narrowly going to be able to get himself away, so a good defensive Lunar Flare secured him a trip back home to live another day.
Yep, so just watch out for this Valor build, because the more distance you can put between you and Illidan, the better. And of course, the further back into your team you go, you're going to have an Uther there, you're going to have a Tassadar there, who have ranged abilities that can support you. It's going to be great.
Level 7 is on the board for both of these teams. There's the cleanse we were talking about on Brightwing. That cleanse is going to have to be on point to get. It's going to have to be very high in value every time it's used. So LunatiK definitely have to keep an eye on the cleanse timings for themselves, specifically this guy right here with the Illidan. They have to keep a close eye on him. Across the board, looks like some fairly standard stuff. We're seeing the battle momentum coming out of Tyrande, and that is something we see occasionally, especially over here in North American. A big player that does it a lot, I know, is Arthalon. When he plays Tyrande, he loves going himself battle momentum, and I actually am a big Tyrande player, not that I play for any of these teams. Love going battle momentum as well.
Yeah, it's an okay talent on Tyrande, of course. Level 7 is one where you have the options. It looks like we're going to see a little bit of a waltz in this top lane, as Daihu's going to be the first to go in.
Daihu is looking for a power slide, trying to knock someone out of position. Faye having a dimensional shift. Faye is low on health, low on mana. Knowing the dimensional shift is on cooldown, they're focusing her down, but unfortunately Hospital extends a little bit too much, and he is going to get taken to the doctor. This is going to be a 3-for-0 exchange going the way of Evil Geniuses. Evil Geniuses were not able to get themselves a Garden Terror, but right there, they were able to get themselves a great team fight.
Yep.
And this is going to allow them to get their heroics beforehand, get themselves some mercenary camps, and some presence on the map.
And the reason that EG won that fight, Cleanse didn't go down on the Illidan because he was too far away from a Brightwing.
Yep.
And there was no support for him. He was there out in no man's land getting stunned up by the double stun that we have here in the Uther and the Muradin, and it's just easy for Valor, Tassadar, just anyone on that team to burst him down once he's susceptible and vulnerable after getting CC'd.
So the game plan from LunatiK looks like they're going to do a little bit of some split push shenanigans, put the Garden Terror in top lane. Faye is going to try to mitigate as much as she can on the Tassadar, who's a great hero at doing that, and then commit a little bit more to the other lanes. They are soaking all 3 lanes. They have hit level 10 finally. Looks like that was their main objective. This Tyrande needs to be careful, though. Cloud9 Sheth. I'm sorry, Cloud9 Sheth. Cloud9 Sheth playing for Evil Geniuses. Gets the Hammer of Justice, followed up by a Divine Hurricane. And that right there is going to secure themselves a kill on the Tyrande. And that is really going to mitigate the Garden Terror push that LunatiK had for them. It's not really doing much of anything top lane. They were able to get tier 1 towers, but at this stage of the game, it's not a big deal. We're now officially in the mid game. So that Garden of Terror, I felt like really didn't really have much value right there, Haas.
Yeah, it didn't really, as we're actually seeing engage in the bot lane. Heroics coming out. Uther in a little bit of trouble. Daihu was the one who took a lot of the early aggression. Him and Sheth both on actually the same health. Uther will be the first to fall and trying to get some damage down onto Daihu. He will also fall, but Idra now in a bit of a weird place, having to get healed up by the Uther Ghost. Now the Metamorphosis coming in. That's Idra down, and ZPs is going to be able to escape because he was able to stun Hospital. So again, it's kind of... Garden Terror didn't do too much. EG tried to get a trade in there onto the ETC, and then Illidan just coming down and showing us what's up.
So LunatiK are pushing here into the bottom lane. They got to be careful they don't get caught out. Not going to happen anytime soon, though, as they know that Jaina is deceased Uther coming back, and he's nowhere to be found anytime soon. But there is a little bit of a silver lining to the story for Evil Geniuses, and that is they have 80 seeds. If they take a big team fight in the next nighttime before a good chunk of seeds are picked up, they can secure themselves in a rather easy fashion 2 Garden Terrors back-to-back. That will give them a level 13 advantage, with both teams are going to hit just around the same time. And 2 Garden Terrors back-to-back, when your enemy team has none, you can just push in almost a tier 2 into a keep And it's really a big, it's kind of the premier win condition that teams look for on this map, just due to how strong and how well the Garden Terrors scale into the late game.
Certainly so. They need, what, 120 out of 180, so they need 60% of the seeds that are currently out on the map. But this was actually a really nice play coming out from LunatiK. They took both their bottom bruiser camp and the easy camp there, just to try and apply some pressure while they're able to gather some seeds. We see them taking away EG's top small camp, but EG are doing the same to LunatiK's small camp down bot. And we see that they secure themselves a plant. They won't be able to get a second one though.
Yep, so no double Caesar salad coming out here for Evil Geniuses. And if my maths are correct, LunatiK
do not get one.
Will not be getting one. They'll be getting the 80 seeds.
90.
I'm sorry, the 90. Math is hard. We already know this.
Yeah, yeah. I
really not only Arabic or
Roman numerals.
Arabic numerals, but Roman numerals nonetheless are also difficult for Shane Gucher. Just numbers in general.
We can do levels, talents, and that's about it.
Yes. After that, I don't know what I'm doing. Now the Siege Ogre camp being picked up for LunatiK, so they swung in there and got Evil Genius's Siege Ogre camp. But Evil Geniuses have themselves a Garden Terror, and I feel like they're in a much better position to accomplish more with this Garden Terror than the one that LunatiK just had. They are committing 4 to the bottom. That is forcing 4 out of the 5 of LunatiK eSports to commit to the Garden Terror. At the same time, Protege, sorry buddy, you're going to be going down here. And this bottom tower going to be going down. All the meanwhile, a push being defended by Idra in the mid lane.
But even so, this Garden Terror has done even less than the Garden Terror LunatiK had. But then again, the 4 members of EG did more than what the Garden Terror did. They got a kill, they got a fort, they got a tower. And it doesn't really matter what this Garden Terror does, but it's going to get 2 towers anyway. KoTS like getting hooked in, but he's going to get out of there just now.
So level 16 is here for Evil Geniuses. And we're going to be seeing double imposing presence, which is a great pickup for this team. Seeing as how they have 3 melee frontliners. Illidan, who's so reliant on his auto attack for aforementioned reasons. There's a hook onto Murden, though that's not the hero you want to be looking for. With the Department of Animal Control, the hunting season is not open for chocolate candy cane Murdens.
But it might be for beef. Who's going to get out of that one though?
Top lane getting pushed in by the Garden Terror. The Vegetarians right now are beating the Hunters. And there is a good strafe going full duration. Though some forward positioning from Evil Geniuses. They really got to get themselves spread out. Though it looks like they're just converging on top of Hospital. And he's so low, the evasion is going to keep himself alive for now. So very low. Can ZP secure it? No! The minion saves his life. And Hospital is going to be able to get away. Dahu is unfortunately going to take 1 for the team. But make it 2 for Evil Geniuses. And the big reason I feel like that team fight went the way of Evil Geniuses is that they had level 16 and LunatiK did not.
16 to 15 is one of the worst places you can team fight talents-wise because 16 is so huge. Just look down the board. Blood for blood. So much added damage in there and a slow and some health on your side. Northern Exposure. You take bonus damage. Simple as that. You become vulnerable. Tassadar gains health over time. Again, huge core in his late game. And then the imposing presence can speak for itself because into an Illidan, he is not attacking as often, which means his cooldowns aren't as up as often, which means he is exposed more than he would normally be.
We have a single imposing presence on the side of LunatiK, though I feel like that's not going to be quite as effective. Really, the only hero that's going to affect is Tassadar and his Archon, and Vala. Though Vala, with the build she's going, isn't an auto-attack build. It's definitely more of... It looks like just a standard multi-shot build with a variation at level 4 with the Puncturing Arrow.
Yeah.
And you kind of predicted that coming out here. And it basically... So let me make sure I'm getting this right. It's to keep as much room as possible between you and the Illidan. Because Illidan is actually a really good hero at dealing with Vala Demon Hunter. Yeah, you have a single vault, but Illidan can catch up to you in many different capacities after you vault away and just secure a kill on you.
Yeah, and there are variations of this build. This is a very basic one in the sense that you just have range increase on multi-shot and Puncturing Arrow, so that you are, or you have Puncturing Arrow, Hungering Arrow, so that you are able to keep some distance while doing some damage. Sheth, though, he's getting up close and personal with Skye.
A single Divine Storm onto his Stitches with Relentless. Not the most effective Divine Storm, but that Cloud9 Chef wishes it was up now. A good hook onto him. His sprint is down, his cleanse is down, and now he is going to not be going down. A Protector Shield is keeping him alive. Hospital is in the thick of it. He needs some heals. He needs it now, and they're not going to come. Illidan is going to go down. There is a stun on an Ivy Slime. Down. Slimer goes, and now Faye with an aggressive Dimensional Shift is going to go in there, though I don't know if the follow-up is there. Once again, a 2-for-0 exchange going the way of Evil Geniuses. We are here at the 13.5-minute mark, 3 kills to 12. Level 18 for Evil Geniuses. They have themselves a Garden Tear, and if they really want, they can get themselves Tier 2 towers, possibly a keep, fall back, and get yet another Garden Tear on the back of this.
Yeah, they certainly can. They've got this Garden Tear. That should more than likely split push here. It's got a lot of time before it joins its team. They're going to try and poke in towards this keep. The Fishing Hook going to miss on Faye narrowly there, and again that last fight, Protege just wasn't able to cleanse Illidan at the right time. In fact, cleanse went unused again. And this is one of the problems with Brightwing. With Uther, you are going to be next to Illidan. Spring coming in from Sheth. Talking of Uthers, actually Brightwing using cleanse on herself there, but the hook onto Muradin is good. Protective shields coming down left, right, and center, but even so, he's taking damage.
Taking damage, Protege is just going to get taken out. This Brightwing pick has not been doing much. A good 4-man Lunar Flare, but the follow-up simply is non-existent at this stage of the game. A 2-level deficit for LunatiK Gaming. The Putrid Bile is being used, but with the Garden Tear looming on the horizon of LunatiK, a good hook onto quite possibly the easiest thing to hook in the game, but they're going to get this Garden Tear taken out. So the Garden Tear didn't accomplish too much, though Evil Geniuses, I think, are going to be able to secure the keep nonetheless, even with the Garden Tear not doing too much.
Yeah, it was just, again, kind of like a distraction. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, we've got one Siege Giant and a few minions pushing. It's done some tower damage, some gate damage, but not really too much. EG going to fall back. They're going to take away these Garden Terrors again. But in the bot side, Hospital's already starting his. They just need 4 seeds here. And it's really about damage mitigation. If they get this, they stop EG getting a plant. If they'd just left it idly, then EG would have taken their second plant. Then again, this means LunatiK, they're going to have one on their side. They're going to have a big Garden Terror. It's going to disable buildings. It's going to polymorph some enemies. The hook is good onto Cawthorn Luck, but he's just going to try and vault away. Hospital is in chase.
A great reaction vault to get out of that Lunar Flare, and this is going to enable Evil Geniuses to turn around. There is the Metamorphosis onto Idra. Idra putting his Nikes on, strapping his shoes, but unfortunately, he is no MJ. He is going to get caught up with as Illidan latched onto him and able to secure a kill onto the Jaina. Now Stitches is very, very low. Cloud9 Sheth is going to go down, but he is a ghost. He's going to bring a little bit more to the table before he dissipates. There's a Lunar Flare, but a good dodge from Faye out of the Dimensional Shift. A 1-for-1 exchange. Though level 20 is here for Evil Geniuses. And that is a big power spike for him. Can ZP get away? Looks like ZP is going to be going down as well. Oh, Faye coming in trying to save his buddy. But down ZP goes. Now LunatiK have to go back, take their insulin shots after eating that much candy. They are definitely at a... They have themselves a good opportunity. They have a late game Garden Tear, which I believe is actually about to expire. Oh, no. That is a big misplay coming out of LunatiK. They did not get the Garden Tear, and that's a late game Garden Tear that they just missed out on, Haas.
That is a 16-minute Garden Tear. I was going to say that after that fight, they were probably on a bit of a sugar high. And then they get to their base and realize that all their Red Bull had run out, all that sugar. They were feeling very low on themselves after that Garden Terror just died by itself. It didn't get enough water. It did die. And that's a shame because they've lost so much pressure. Their core's now going to start taking some damage. There's a catapult here. There's 2 Siege Giants that Cawthorn Luck actually took away from the team of LunatiK. How many bribes does Brightwing have? He currently has none. I'm not sure where he used. I think those were Siege Giants in the mid lane before he backed. But even so, EG, they need to hunt out the fight. Muradin is up now, needs to join his team. Cawthorn Luck is a little split from the bot lane. He's going to need to go tap while, then regroup with his team. There's a window here for EG to try and take this fight. They're going to start with the Siege Giants, then hopefully move on to LunatiK after this.
So picking up these Bruiser camps, and I'm sorry, not the Bruiser camp, good lord, the Siege Ogre camp in bottom lane to clean up the Bruiser camp. Going to apply some pressure into this bottom lane, which the last time they got this Ogre camp, it did a substantial amount of damage. The tier 2 tower right here, it's at about half HP. The gate also pretty much going to be going down here at any point in time. I feel like the stage dive really hasn't been utilized too much here. Cross. I feel like it has been almost a non-factor in these team fights. They haven't been... ETC hasn't been on the map soaking a lot of experience. He hasn't initiated very well with it, I feel like.
Yeah, I guess.
And the same can be said for the Brightwing.
I guess, but then again, it's the argument of what would Mosh Pit be doing?
Yeah.
Because it'd be doing a hell of a lot less. I mean, ETC, he's had a few moments with it. The last fight, he was able to get a four-man slow-off, which led to the four-man Lunar Flare, but even so, as you said, it hasn't been soaking XP. This was a nice move by the Brightwing, taking away the enemy easy camp and then TPing back. So they've got some map pressure here, and it's actually going to mean the retreat of EG. They're going to go back towards mid and try and deal with this one. Or are they just going to bait here? And it looks like Chef does want to bait this.
Oh. Does LunatiK sniff it out? Does the nose of the cow able to sniff it out? They do get jumped upon. Tyrande, though, unfortunately, the counter initiation coming up from Evil Geniuses is simply too strong. The Hospital does vault to try to get a latch onto Idra, but Idra also vaults away. Idra's so very low. There's a stage dive initiation, but again, it feels like it's a little bit too late. So much damage has been done, but it looks like that LunatiK is actually looking pretty strong in this fight. Divine Storm has been used. Metamorphosis is just allowed Illidan to latch onto that Idra, the Jaina, and just take her out before she did much of anything. Ooh. Brightwing getting taken down now here, so a 3-4-2. That was a very back and forth team fight. Looked like one team had the advantage over the other. And Evil Geniuses coming out slightly ahead. Though with this nighttime being here, this is a great opportunity for them to get themselves not only one Garden Tear, but potentially two.
Meanwhile, while LunatiK are trying to stop this, we have 3 catapults in the top lane for EG. They're going to be going onto the core, along with a ton of minions here. Okay, minions have spawned just in time. We see Skylol and Daihu. They decided to go back a little bit there, realised the minions had been dealt with, but the catapults will reside nonetheless. Bot lane, they're trying to take some seeds out here. It's Daihu and Skylol again. EG have a Garden Terror of their own, which I'm sure we won't see go to waste, unlike LunatiK's last time, and it's something that LunatiK need to make sure they actually get their Garden Terror this time.
Yeah, they had such a great opportunity with that Garden Tear, but unfortunately weren't able to capitalize on it. And they, once again, they need 5 seeds. They need 5 seeds here. Oh my lord. Are they going to get denied?
Top lane.
Our Garden Tear here. Okay, so they're just going to do a little do-si-do here. And all they need is 5 seeds to get themselves a Garden Tear, and that's going to allow them to defend against the Garden Tear that is looming right here outside of the Tier 2 location. No, they actually look like they're going to commit to a team fight here. This is a risky play. They need to get someone into one of those Garden Tears and pick up those 5 seeds, or else Evil Geniuses is going to get all of them, and that is not a position that LunatiK wants to be in.
It certainly isn't. Idra is in this Garden Tower, of course, on Jaina. Probably the best option here. Just going to be hammering away at these walls. Uther is actually off to the north here, slightly to the side of the team, looking for the sprint in onto the back line of Ivy Slime and Hospital. Illidan trying to jump in here, but not finding too much.
So just a slow siege coming out from the Geniuses that unfortunately are a little bit on the dark side. There goes the Garden Tear. Getting taken out here. Not as much damage as I would have expected from a 20-minute plus Garden Tear onto the keep. So credit to LunatiK. They were able to keep the Garden Tear down to a minimum. Keep the keep. They able to keep the keep and keep themselves in the race. In the game, but more specifically the race for Kings of the Storm. As if they do lose this match, they are going to be out.
EG can go top now, and they can take a Garden Terror. They are also in a position where they can 5v5 and win, but not a 2v5. They now have reinforcements coming in. Daihu gonna try and get a good Divine Hurricane off. Sprints in and sprints straight back out. Idra getting stunned up.
A good Divine Hurricane, but the follow not up there. A good hook onto Idra. There is the initiation from Hospital, and Idra is going to get taken out here. Idra was a complete non-factor in that team fight, and that is something that LunatiK needs, but unfortunately, the Brightwing getting taken out as well. 2-4-1. Does LunatiK have what it takes to take a team fight here? It was looking good from the beginning. They are without their Brightwing. They're without their big AoE heals, and that is going to enable Hospital to just get picked apart here, and that's exactly... No! A good dodge. A good evasion is going to get the shield. Can they get him? Daihu, you need a power slide. You need to face melt your buddy. Hospital is so close to going down. Someone call 911. Good lord. Get that man an ambulance. He's going to get away by the skin of his teeth. Cloud9 Chef now in trouble. Looks like the Candyman is melting as they really got to retreat here, else this could be the end of the game. At these late game situations, if a team fight goes one-sided, there's enough time with everyone being down that a team can just barrel roll down the mid lane and take the core, but my lord, a very even fight, slightly favoring LunatiK, and this is going to enable them to finally get themselves 5 seeds and get themselves a Garden Terror here, Haas.
That was far too even. Far too even. And it just goes to show what happens when you let Hospital stay alive in these fights. He wasn't able to get bursted down. He was able to sustain himself, and that's an interesting stage dive coming out of Daihu. Guess he just wanted to be with his team a lot quicker. They do have a Garden Terror here, but it's about, do they want to fight now? Valor and Jane are still not here, but EG are persisting with this one.
ZP's in the front line. He's trying to throw out them Storm Bolts, throw out the Lollipops, and try to attract one of them. Cloud9 Chef put his Nikes on. He's looking for Divine Hurricane. A phenomenal polymorph there, but unfortunately the Divine Hurricane does go down. Not much follow-up though. ZP's in the thick of it. He needs a heal. He needs it now. Cloud9 Chef needs a heal as well, but unfortunately they don't have the heals, and Jaina gets taken out in the backlines. Dahu actually with the Elite Tauren Chieftain, showing off why he is known as the Elite Tauren Chieftain, taking out the Jaina, and this is looking great for LunatiK. Another team fight going their way. Granted, it was a 1-0 exchange, but a team fight nonetheless. They need to make sure they don't make that mistake. Oh, look at Sheth being a little James Bond.
It was
active subterfuge to get himself out of safety. But now, okay, they do have themselves a Garden Terror, 25-minute Garden Terror. This is actually a great position for LunatiK Gaming here, Haas.
It was essentially a fight that was a 1-throw that should have been a 3-throw. Uther got away on so little HP. Muradin could have easily fallen in there as well. But the bright side is, Skylol is inside of a big lettuce. He's going to be slapping.
Big old hunk of iceberg lettuce.
Yep.
Barreling down your middle lane, ladies and gentlemen. If you are a vegetarian, you are shaking in your boots.
This is the map for you. As they're going to go for this keep, and it's Garden Terror taking a little bit of damage, but again, not too much here. Hospital, of course, doing his best at being an Illidan. They do get this keep as well. And now, do they rotate towards top or bot and try and take out those, or do they try and take a fight? The disadvantage with the Garden Terror is that it's always seen on the map. And at this stage, wherever the Garden Terror is, there are going to be 4 players there as well. So they're rotating towards this bot lane. The Psystorm coming down onto the seed, the plant pot. I mean, it's going to get a little bit weaker, do less damage. And we actually see Chef setting up for this top lane. He's off to the side, looking for a way to sprint in here, but LunatiK is just going to back away from this one, and rightly so.
They're able to get themselves that mid keep. They're able to get themselves the tier 2 towers in bottom lane, which makes bottom keep susceptible. Though that Garden Terror is still very healthy. Still got a half a minute left on its duration. And it looks like they backed up, reinforced themselves, healed themselves up. And the push continues down here in bottom lane. And both of these teams are treading on a very thin ice. As if one team fight goes one way or the other, with keeps being down on both sides, whoever gets the next big team fight more than likely gets the game. Yep. Here comes the flank from Cloud9 Streth. What a blitzkrieg right there. Holy cow. Proteges gets absolutely blown up before anything is done.
And now where's the support of Hospital? There is none. He is going to first aid himself out of there. Skylol getting taken down the front line. Everyone's so low for LunatiK. And before this fight broke out, I was going to say that Sheth is going to be the key in this one. He was off to the side. He just sprinted in. Didn't care for Illidan at all. Got a 4-man Divine Hurricane off. Protege and Ivy Slime just fell so quickly. They even bursted Daihu down so low. And it doesn't matter if Hospital's alive. He can't do too much damage without any support, without any CC coming from his team. As EG now 5 versus 2 look to just barrel straight down into this bot lane. They could bypass this keep and go straight for the core, but they've got a good 30 seconds or so. They're going to get this keep and then try to end the game.
LunatiK were looking great in the late game there, after making a couple of pretty big flubs, if you ask me to put it lightly. Missing out on a Garden Terror and just their team fighting not being the best. Hospital taking a Divine Hurricane, and that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be the end of LunatiK's run in Kings of the Storm Invitational number 6. They are definitely going to try to defend this. The fat lady has not sung yet, though. I know better than that. Looks like Evil Geniuses, though. Yep. Okay. Yep. LunatiK Gaming are going to call the GG as ETC does a nice stage dive into the enemy core.
Nice.
There it goes. Congratulations. Evil Geniuses taking out LunatiK 2-0.
It was a much closer game, though. It was much more entertaining to watch, and it was back and forth. We didn't think that the comp of LunatiK would have been too great with the double tank, the Illidan, and the Brightwing as support, And admittedly, it wasn't going into the late game. Once Brightwing was out, Protege got caught, Illidan had nothing there. And it's actually strange to
Yeah.
see Illidan on the least takedowns in the game. It's not
Yeah.
something you always see.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Congratulations to Evil Geniuses. They are going to be moving on in the bracket. And speaking of brackets, let's go ahead and take a look at it as other games have been played. And oh my, this
Double
is
Cloud9.
an upset.
Oh, wow.
If you ask me, ladies and gentlemen, Cloud9 Vortex taking out Barrel Boys 2-0.
2-0.
So congratulations to Cloud9 Vortex. That is a team I don't think anyone expected to take out Barrel Boys. But that new lineup, man, showing its strength. So it's going to be Tempo Storm and Cloud9 Maelstrom and Evil Geniuses versus Cloud9 Vortex in the semifinals. And both of those matches are going to be phenomenal matches, ladies and gentlemen. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. Get yourself some water. Get yourself a snack. Hit that follow button. Thank you for supporting myself. Thank you to Haas for being a great co-caster. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back here in just a moment. Why does XSplit keep messing up your webcam? It's really annoying. Like, now your face is all stretched and shit. Now it's good. There we go. Okay. I see what the problem was, I think. Okay, I see what the problem is. There we go. It's good now. Yep, go for it, buddy. Looks like we are going to be doing. Hold on. Might have a little bit of delay because it didn't get. Let me see. Okay, maybe we will be able to do Cloud9 Maelstrom. So basically, we're waiting on Cloud9 Maelstrom is facing Tempo Storm and Dinget right now. And right after that, they have to face each other again in Kings of the Storm. And Barrel Boys is facing Cloud9 Vortex and Dinget. So yeah, so we're waiting for we're pending the results on that. But either way, we can jump into. I want to do Tempo Storm versus Cloud9 Maelstrom. I think that's gonna be So I'll put that up on there. Tempo Storm versus Cloud9 Maelstrom. So I'm going to cut to us real quick and for like a minute and just let them know what's going on, and then we'll cut back to it again. All right, we'll go live in 10. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back for just a fleeting moment. We're giving you guys a little bit of an update as to the situation. Let me fix this overlay down here because that doesn't apply right now. due to Dingate and Kings of the Storm both ongoing at the same time, there's a little bit of a scheduling conflict between the two, which was to be expected. So there's going to be a little bit of a delay between the matches. We are going to be casting Cloud9 Maelstrom versus Tempo Storm, who coincidentally are playing against each other in Dingate right now. So the teams are facing against each other, and right as they're done facing each other in Dingate, they're going to come on down to Kings of the Storm and face each other again. So that's going to be real interesting.
Essentially, it's a best of 6 or a best of 4. Is Dingate a BO1?
A best of... Well, if the total amount of matches to be played possible from both teams
best
would be...
6. No?
Well, it can go like to game 3 and then game 3, so best of 7.
Well, it'd be 6 games. So it'd be 6 games.
It'd be 6 games, which would make
other.
it a best of 7.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
it's essentially what's happening.
It'd still be BO6 has happened. There was a BO2 the other day in CS:GO, where in order to win, you had to win both games. It was
2
weird.
back to back.
Yeah, BO2s are strange. Like BO.
So could it keep going back and forth, like
no.
beating each
If
other
it was
over and
1-1,
over,
then it was a draw.
Okay.
But in order to win, you had to win both. BO2s are strange, and yeah, a lot of people were confused with that as well. Is that a way you do it? Just use BO3s. Like, it's exactly the same. It just means that you get a little bit of leeway. Like, you still got to win 2 games. But yeah, a potential of 6 games against each other back to back is an interesting prospect. Like, by the time they get to us, we should be seeing some really funky drafts.
I know. You ready for those murky octograb into triple tap, ladies and gentlemen? No, we are joking. Kappa. So, guys, just wanted to give you a little bit of a heads up. There might be a little bit of a delay while we wait for those teams to face off against each other in the Dingate tournament. In the meantime, go watch yourself some heroes. Stay tuned on this channel. Don't get rid of that tab.
Yeah.
Don't touch that knob on the dial. And we'll be back with Tempo Storm versus Cloud9 Maelstrom, a match you certainly do not want to miss, as every time those teams face off against each other, it is a superb match. So once again, thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you guys for your patience, and we'll be back as soon as we possibly can.